10 years, women left this salon looking beautiful but terrified. They never spoke about what happened inside. The mirrors were covered with black cloth, hiding a secret that would destroy the entire village. But what nobody knew was that the mirrors weren't just taking beauty. They were collecting souls for something ancient, something hungry, something that should have stayed buried. In the heart of Lagos, where the old market meets the new city, stood Mama Kesi's beauty palace. The building seemed wrong somehow, painted deep purple that looked black in certain lights, with windows covered by curtains that never opened, and strange symbols carved into the doorframe that hurt to look at directly. Every morning, women lined up before dawn, desperate for appointments. They came from all over Nigeria, some even from neighboring countries, drawn by whispers of miraculous transformations. Plain women emerged beautiful. Old women left looking decades younger. Scarred faces became flawless. It was magic, they said. Or perhaps something darker. Mama Kesi herself was a mystery. She had arrived in Lagos exactly 10 years ago, bringing 7 large objects wrapped in black cloth. Nobody knew where she came from. Her accent shifted between Nigerian, Caribbean, and something much older. She appeared to be 30, with skin so perfect it seemed unreal, hands that were slightly too long, and eyes that reflected light like a cat's. The salon had 3 rooms. The waiting room, painted blood red, where women sat in silence. The treatment room, where every mirror was covered with black cloth, sealed with red wax. And the 3rd room, which nobody entered, its door carved with symbols that seemed to move when you weren't looking directly at them. There were 5 unbreakable rules. 1. Never look in the mirrors. 2. Come alone. 3. No questions about the process. 4. No photographs inside 5. Leave something personal behind. Jewelry, a photo, something precious. The women who visited Mama Kesi's salon all shared certain traits afterward. They stopped singing. They couldn't cry anymore. They removed all mirrors from their homes. And sometimes, late at night, their families would catch them staring at nothing, whispering apologies to the air. Sophia Adeleke stepped off the British Airways flight at Lagos International Airport on a humid Tuesday morning. At 32, she was everything her family had dreamed: Harvard law graduate, senior associate at a top London firm, successful beyond measure. She was in Nigeria for her cousin Patricia's wedding to the Okonkwo heir, the social event of the year. But success had come at a price. Sophia had built walls around herself, choosing career over connection, achievement over affection. She hadn't been home in 5 years, and the weight of family expectations pressed down on her the moment she breathed Nigerian air. Her grandmother, Mama Ronke, had called a month earlier with an unusual request. "You must visit Mama Kesi when you arrive," the old woman had said, her voice strange over the phone. "The beautician. Promise me you'll go." "Grandmother, I have stylists in London. Promise me, Sophia, follow her rules, don't ask questions, and whatever you do, don't look in the mirrors." The urgency in her grandmother's voice had been unmistakable. Against her better judgment, Sophia had promised. Now, sitting in the Uber heading to Victoria Island, Sophia researched Mama Kesi online. She found almost nothing. No website, no social media, just occasional mentions in society blogs about miraculous transformations. But there was one cached article by a journalist named Jennifer Okafor, titled "The Dark Secret of Lagos's Beauty Scene." It mentioned women going missing, ancient practices being revived, beauty that came with a terrible price. The article ended mid-sentence, and Jennifer had disappeared for 6 months. When she returned, she was impossibly beautiful, and claimed no memory of writing it. At her family compound, Sophia was shocked by Patricia's transformation. Her cousin had always been pretty, but now she was breathtaking. Skin that seemed to glow, features so perfect they looked computer-generated. But her eyes were empty, like a doll's. "You look different," Sophia said carefully when they were alone. Patricia touched her face like it was a mask. "Mama Kesi," grandmother insisted, "for the wedding photos." Her voice was flat, mechanical. "I look beautiful now. That's what matters." That night, Sophia confronted her grandmother. "There are debts in this family," Mama Ronke said, hands shaking. "Old debts. Every woman in our bloodline must visit her. It's the agreement." "What agreement? Please, just go." "Follow the rules." The old woman's eyes filled with tears. "Don't look in the mirrors. Once you look, you can't unsee. And what you see, it feeds on truth." The next morning, Sophia stood outside Mama Kesi's beauty palace. The purple paint seemed to pulse, and the symbols on the door frame made her eyes water. She pushed open the door, and a bell chimed. Not metal against metal, but a sound like glass breaking in reverse. 3 women sat in the waiting room, staring at nothing. They didn't acknowledge her entrance. "Sophia Adeleke." Mama Kesi materialized from the shadows. She was everything the whispers promised, beautiful beyond human possibility, with those strange, long hands and eyes that held too much knowledge. "Your grandmother called? She said you would come?" In the treatment room, mirrors lined every wall, all covered in black cloth that seemed to breathe. The antique treatment chair was stained with what might have been tears. Or blood. "What exactly is the treatment?" Sophia asked. "I will make you beautiful," Mama Kesi replied, mixing substances in obsidian bowls. "More beautiful than you've ever dreamed." She began applying creams that burned cold, whispering in a language that predated human speech. Sophia found herself paralyzed, unable to move or speak. "Let me tell you a story," Mama Kesi said as she worked. Long ago, before colonization, there was a queen who feared aging. She acquired 7 mirrors made from metal that fell from the stars. These mirrors didn't just show reflections, they showed truth. And behind that truth lived things that fed on human essence. The queen made a bargain. She would feed these entities the truth of others, their real selves, their souls, and in return, she would have eternal beauty. For 100 years, she fed them young women until her kingdom was full of beautiful, empty shells. Eventually, the mirror's hunger grew beyond control. The queen tried to destroy them, but breaking a door doesn't destroy what's behind it. She scattered them across the world, hoping distance would weaken them. But mirrors call to mirrors. They always find their way back together. As Mama Kesi spoke, Sophia noticed movement beneath the black cloths, something pressing against the glass from the other side. 15 years ago, I was like you, Mama Kesi continued. A professor, brilliant and alone. I found the 7 mirrors at an estate sale. The first night I arranged them in a circle, trying to photograph them for research. That's when I met the collectors, the entities that live between dimensions, feeding on human authenticity. They offered me everything, beauty, charm, magnetism. For 3 days I was perfect. Then I looked in an ordinary mirror and saw the truth. I wasn't beautiful. I was rotting from the inside, my soul being consumed. The collectors gave me a choice: die in a week or become their recruiter. I chose to live. For 15 years I've fed them souls. Your grandmother was one of my first customers. She made a deal not just for herself, but for 3 generations of women in her bloodline. Sophia's eyes widened in horror, the only movement she could manage. Your mother came to me too, Mama Kesi said softly. She wanted to be beautiful for your father, but the mirrors took too much. What went home to your family was just an empty shell. The cancer that killed her? That was just the shell breaking down without a soul to maintain it. Rage flooded through Sophia, and with it, sensation returned to her fingers. Mama Kesi noticed and smiled. Ah, you're special. Your anger is stronger than the paralysis. You might actually survive looking in the mirrors. She moved toward the largest covered mirror. Shall I show you what's really behind the glass? Mama Kesi pulled away the black cloth in one fluid motion. Sophia tried to close her eyes but couldn't. In the mirror, she saw Patricia, not the beautiful bride-to-be, but a hollow thing with painted features and empty spaces where substance should be. And behind her, pressed against the inside of the glass, was the real Patricia, mouth open in a silent scream, hands bloody from pounding on her prison. This is the trade, Mama Kesi explained. The real self goes in, a perfect copy comes out, beautiful, empty, going through the motions of life without actually living. Sophia could hear it now, a thin wailing from inside the mirror. Not just Patricia, but dozens of voices. Hundreds, all the women who had traded their authenticity for beauty. The personal items they leave behind are anchors, Mama Kesi continued, keeping their souls bound to the mirrors. Patricia left her engagement ring. Your mother left her wedding photo. Your grandmother left a lock of her daughter's hair. Your mother's hair. Fighting against the paralysis, Sophia bit her finger hard enough to draw blood. With her blood, she wrote Patricia's name on the mirror. The glass cracked, just slightly, and Patricia's screaming became audible. What are you doing? Mama Kesi's form flickered, revealing something ancient and terrible beneath the beauty. Breaking the chains, Sophia gasped. She understood now. The mirrors were prisons, but prisons could be opened. The collectors weren't all powerful. They were parasites, dependent on human insecurity and vanity. And most importantly, they could only take what was freely given. I refuse, Sophia said, her voice growing stronger. I refuse the treatment. I refuse the beauty. I refuse the trade. The room shook. The other mirrors began rattling beneath their cloths. And then Mama Kesi did something unexpected. She smiled with genuine relief. Finally, she whispered, someone strong enough to say no. Mama Kesi produced an ancient key. If you really want to free them, you need to see the source, the third room, where the 7 mirrors show their true nature. The door opened onto impossible space, a circular room that was larger than the entire building, with a domed ceiling showing stars that had never existed in Earth's sky. 7 mirrors stood in a perfect circle, each one reflecting not just images but possibilities, truths, lies, and everything in between. In the center was a chair made of crystallized shadow. Mama Kesi gestured for Sophia to sit. This is where it started, she said, where I made my bargain. If you want to free the souls, you have to understand what you're really fighting. As Sophia sat, the mirrors activated. Each one showed a different truth. The first showed her childhood, her mother's funeral, the beginning of her walls. The second showed her success, built on isolation and sacrifice. The third showed Patricia's wedding tomorrow, all the guests beautiful and empty. The fourth showed her grandmother's original bargain, trading her family's souls for beauty. The fifth showed Mama Kesi's transformation from professor to recruiter. The sixth showed the collectors, formless hunger given shape by human desire. The seventh showed Sophia herself, not her appearance, but her truth. In the seventh mirror stood another Sophia, made of living shadow. "I'm your emptiness," it said, "the void you've tried to fill with achievements. Every human has me inside them. The collectors just concentrate us, feed on us, weaponize us." But emptiness isn't evil, Sophia realized. It's just space, potential, the pause between heartbeats where choice lives. The shadow Sophia laughed. "Pretty philosophy, but can you accept me? Can you look at your own void without trying to fill it?" Sophia stood and walked to the seventh mirror. She pressed her hand against the glass, feeling it bend like cold honey. Then she pushed through. The space behind the mirrors was neither dark nor light. It simply was. Here were all the trapped souls, not just from Lagos, but from centuries of mirrors across the world. They stood frozen in perfect beauty, aware but unable to act. Patricia reached out to her. Jennifer, the journalist, was there. Her mother stood frozen, younger than Sophia remembered, full of love she'd never been able to express. "How do I free you?" Sophia asked. "The anchors," her mother said, voice like wind. "But not just the physical ones. We're held by what we couldn't accept about ourselves. Patricia couldn't accept being plain. I couldn't accept aging. Jennifer couldn't accept being ordinary." "The mirrors don't create the hunger," Sophia understood. "They just reflect and amplify what's already inside us." She turned to the assembled souls. "I can break your chains, but you have to choose freedom over beauty. You have to accept yourselves as you are. Imperfect, aging, human. Some souls pulled back, terrified. Even in captivity, they couldn't give up the dream of perfection. But others, led by Patricia and her mother, stepped forward. "I choose truth," Patricia said. "I choose love over beauty," Sophia's mother whispered. "I choose my real story," Jennifer added. Sophia led them back through the seventh mirror. As each emerged, their mirror selves throughout Lagos crumbled to dust. The mirrors began cracking, light pouring through, not divine light, just ordinary Tuesday afternoon sun. Mama Kesi aged 15 years in 15 seconds, becoming a 40-year-old woman again. But she was free. "The collectors," she gasped, "without the mirrors to contain them." "They're not separate from us," Sophia said as shadows emerged from the breaking mirrors. "They're our own hunger, our own emptiness, and we don't have to feed them anymore." She faced her shadow self. "You're part of me. The ambitious part, the hungry part, the never satisfied part. I accept you, but I don't surrender to you." The shadow paused, confused. It had only known feeding or fighting. Acceptance without surrender was something new. Slowly, it began to merge back into her, not as a possessing force, but as an integrated aspect. Around the room, freed souls were doing the same. Patricia embraced her insecurity without letting it control her. Jennifer accepted her curiosity without letting it destroy her. Sophia's mother accepted her vanity while choosing love above it. The next day, Patricia stood before her mirror, a real mirror, in her wedding dress. Her face was her own, pretty but not perfect, with a slightly crooked nose and uneven eyebrows. She looked human. "I can't go?" she said to Sophia. David thinks he's marrying the beautiful Patricia, the perfect one." "Then let him choose," Sophia said. "Show him the truth." At the church, gasps echoed when Patricia walked down the aisle. The guests whispered, "What happened to her face? Why did she look so ordinary?" David stood at the altar, confusion clear on his face. Patricia reached him and spoke loudly enough for everyone to hear. "6 months ago, I traded my soul for beauty because I thought you couldn't love the real me. I was wrong to lie to you. This is who I really am. If you want to walk away, I understand." David studied her face, really looked at her for the first time in months. Then he smiled. "You can cry again?" he said wonderingly. "When you walked in, you had tears in your eyes. You haven't cried since you changed?" "I can feel again," Patricia admitted. "I'm scared and happy and nervous all at once." "You're you again," David said, and kissed her. Not everyone understood. Some guests left in disgust. Others whispered about curses and witchcraft. But the people who mattered, the ones who loved Patricia for more than her face, stayed. Mama Ronka sat in the front row, her own false beauty gone, looking every one of her 83 years. But she was smiling, truly smiling, for the first time in decades. 6 months later, Sophia returned to Lagos to check on everyone. Mama Kesi, now just Kesi, had turned the destroyed salon into a different kind of beauty space. She taught women to accept themselves, to find beauty in authenticity rather than perfection. The broken mirrors had been replaced with windows that let in natural light. "I still see them sometimes," Kesi admitted. "The collectors, they're still here in every reflection, every shadow. But they're weaker now. Every woman who chooses truth over illusion weakens them a little more." Patricia was pregnant, glowing with real happiness rather than artificial beauty. "It's harder," she admitted, "being ordinary, but it's also better. I can feel my baby kick. I can cry when I'm sad and laugh when I'm happy. I couldn't do any of that when I was perfect." Jennifer had written a new article, this time about the courage to be ordinary in a world obsessed with perfection. It had gone viral, starting conversations about beauty standards and authenticity. Sophia looked at herself in a real mirror, seeing all her flaws and accepting them. She wasn't beautiful by conventional standards. She was tired, stressed, imperfect. But she was real. "The mirrors are everywhere," Kesi warned her. "Not just mine. Every filter, every edited photo, every false presentation of self, they're all little mirrors, all feeding the same hunger. The collectors didn't disappear. They just spread out, became more subtle." "Then we'll keep choosing truth," Sophia said. "One real face at a time." As she left Lagos, Sophia carried a piece of broken mirror in her pocket, a reminder that sometimes the most beautiful thing you can be is yourself, cracks and all. The salon still stands, rebuilt as a counseling center. They say on quiet nights you can hear the echo of breaking glass, not a threat, but a reminder. Every mirror is a choice. See yourself truly, or feed the endless hunger for perfection. The women who were freed still struggle sometimes. On bad days, they miss being beautiful. But on good days, they remember what that beauty cost them, and they're grateful for their imperfect, feeling real faces. And somewhere in the space between reflection and reality, the collectors wait, patient, hungry, knowing that as long as humans exist, there will always be someone willing to trade their truth for a beautiful lie. But now, at least, some people know the price. And knowledge, like truth, has its own kind of power. If this story gave you chills, hit that like button right now and subscribe for more spine-tingling African tales. Comment below. Would you have looked in the mirror? Or would you have kept your borrowed beauty? And remember, the next time you use a filter or edit a photo, ask yourself, are you enhancing your truth or feeding the hunger for a lie? See you in the next terrifying tale.